What's up, everyone? We're watching how Yandere lost to MiSide.
I find it funny that two Russian dudes did what Yandere Dev has been trying to do for almost a decade, while having a tiny fraction of funds he was given. The two games being compared are
Yo, like, I like how everyone always tearing down Yandere similar. Don't get me wrong, I know like that a lot of bad stuff happened, but I also find it funny how people do not remember the point in time where it was all the craze and everyone's yapping about it. Now they hate it. I don't think it's like a indie jam or anything. I just find it funny because everybody used to play the game and now nobody plays the game. Well, I shouldn't say that because there's still support. And then there's people who will play the game, make videos about why this game is trash. But I don't know if this is actually benefiting the support that the game is trash, or it's benefiting the fact that more eyes are being put onto Yandere Simulator still. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yandere Simulator and MiSide, two games that star a main Yandere character. The first game doesn't need an introduction, since the video's main focus isn't really about it, and the game has been memed to death about its long.
My question is, I like how there's fan art for Yandere Sim. Isn't that like a Unity asset? So isn't this like, is it fair use? Like, can anyone use it, or what's up with it? Because everyone always links this to Yandere Simulator because it was always used for Yandere games. But like, what's the deal with this? Because it's a asset you could buy at Unity.
Long development cycle, terrible code, and eccentric developer who totally did not groom a child. Yandere Dev likes to describe his game as a combination of Hitman with the sandbox gameplay of killing a target, and then the Persona series with the school setting and socializing aspect of the game. It sounds like a cool and unique concept considering how popular the Yandere trope is within the anime community, and plenty of other people agreed if you considered how popular the game was on YouTube during the early developments of the game. All the big Let's Play channels were playing this game, and since I was a big PewDiePie fan when I was in high school, I would watch a lot of these Yandere Simulator Let's Play videos, since I found the game's concept.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people were trashing it, but look at all these views that these people were getting from playing the game and whatnot. There's a lot of interest in the game. It just took a long time to make, and the creator's something else, but
Intriguing. But I eventually graduated high school, then followed by getting a Bachelor of Design at university, which led me getting a couple of design jobs, money to move out, and then getting dating opportunities as well. I was able to accomplish life achievements that allowed me to learn and progress further into my life. And now, with me being a completely different person to what I was when I was in high school, I decided to check on that unfinished game that I was watching being developed as a kid, and it was still in the same unfinished position 11 years later.
My voice is the same thing as the video voice, so that's why I just pause it, because it's literally the same. I have it the same way, so.
Yandere Sim was a unique concept developed by an incompetent developer. Due to that, it has become an idea that was wasted potential. I mean, fair enough. Looking back now, the game looks so shit. It's like a fucking Unity asset flip. I don't know, just...
It literally is a Unity asset flip. That's what I'm trying to say, though. This game was always looking like it. There's never really been that much of a difference with the game. It was always a Unity asset flip. And so it's always funny how people talk about it. I think it's because there's no growth from it from 11 years ago. It should have just been dead in the water at this point. But that's neither here or there.
Hitman if you want to kill people, I guess. Oh, it's not anime enough for your weeaboo taste? Well, I guess it's MiSide.
I literally fixed it. There's nothing wrong with my audio, my dude. Maybe just raise it. That's what I'm trying to say, is that the audio, I lowered it. Desktop audio is the same as my mic. I even lowered the desktop. So that's what I'm saying.
Well, not really, because the Yandere archetype is really the only main connection to these two games. Instead of being an open world sandbox, MiSide is more like the combination of Doki Doki Literature Club with its linear and meta storyline about being inside a game, and it's
Doki Doki, but in 3D. Doki Doki, but you actually have choices, maybe? I only played the demo. There was a little bit of choices. But did your choice matter?
Takes Two, with the variety of genre changes and minigames sprinkled around the game, but without the multiplayer aspect. It's a simpler game, yes, but it works in its favor, because Yandere Dev keeps adding new features into his game over the years, making it more complex, which makes development time longer than it should have been. While MiSide took the developers 2.5 years to make with a short and sweet 3-hour long campaign, it's already become way more beloved and respected than Yandere.
The story's only 3 hours long. I played like an hour in the demo. You mean there's only like 2 hours left in the story, chat? That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, I ain't paying $15, so I'm sorry. That's a gift if anyone wants to gift it, but dang. Wait, does that mean I have to play all the way from the beginning? Rip. My save file's not saved.
Simulator.
Small game for their win indeed.
So, what's the plotline of MiSide? Well, it's simple. The main character is a self-insert character, so it's supposed to be you, and since this is an anime game, it has to make it as relatable.
Thai physics for the win. They said if we can't give him jiggle physics, we'll give him Thai physics. It's working.
As possible to the expected audience that plays this game. A social shut-in with a messy room who does some type of software engineering job. But most importantly, you're alone. No bitches.
Dang.
You're not receiving and downloading a game on your phone, where the premise is where you take care of your virtual girlfriend named Mita, a kind-hearted and innocent girl. You do tasks with her and buy her gifts. It seems like a regular dating.
Yo, this woman's so clingy, by the way, chat. Would not recommend dating. She takes all your money. Wait a second. If you guys like that, then you could give me all your money. Donate to our cause, our video game, so we can take 11 years making it. That'll be much appreciated.
Simulator, a game catering towards your lonely ass. You eventually get addicted, playing this game for 37 days straight, until Mita is like, oh, I wish I could meet you in person, and then she transports you into the game. Well, first you need to update the game to version 1.9, and then you can now live forever with your virtual girlfriend. But it doesn't feel right, since it's all in a game. Areas need to load in before you can enter them, the windows are all white because there's no outside world, and you find some random cartridges hidden in a vent with names.
And the roaches.
Which is strange.
Does no one care about the roaches in the back? Why did everyone just forget about the roaches?
But as you start to clean the dishes, you start to feel weird. You fall to the ground, so Mita brings you over to the bathroom. She gives
Mita was doing some nasty stuff to us. Like, girl put something in the food. Like, what the turd?
pills to make you feel better, but you can tell something's wrong here. Your suspicions increase when you're playing cards with her. You start to hear banging in the closet. That's a bit odd. It's like someone's trapped in there. You go over to investigate, but she pleads you to ignore it. Although curiosity overwhelms you, so you confront her about it.
それなら今すぐに確かめてみなよ。
Now, this is where the game starts, switching from a cute and innocent dating sim to a horror game as you get spawned into a creepier version of the house.
What are you talking about? It was scary beforehand. Did you guys not play the first hour of the game? It was already scary. Like, what the turd? Like, the demo was freaky.
And then back to a dating sim, and then a first-person shooter,
What the
and
turd?
then even a visual novel, and then back to a horror game. What the fuck's going on here?
The turd?
Okay, so the bang in the closet was the sounds coming from another Mita in cage in the basement, referred to as Kind Mita.
Crazy.
She was originally the Mita from version 1.9, but was replaced and trapped by Crazy Mita, the girl that you were with earlier. You also learn that Crazy Mita can turn any player into a cartridge as you watch the player through a console screen.
Oh.
This sets you up for the goal of the game. stop Crazy Mita before she turns you into a cartridge, and to stop her, you have to find the version she was originally came from, as
Dang.
well as her index number to reset her character. So
Oh,
you,
wow.
as a player, venture through all these different versions until you reach version 0.0, where the core is located to reset her. But along the way, you experience a variety of different genres, meeting a bunch of Mitas with their own looks and personality, as
Bruh, which one's your favorite Mita? I know everyone's always like Cappy. Why do you guys like Cappy so much? Not even Cappy, it's Cappy. What is so good about Cappy, chat?
well as learning more about the game. I'll be honest, from a gameplay perspective,
Yo, did she not have clothes on, chat? Are we just gonna ignore that? Okay.
it's very sloppy and showed no difficulty at all. A lot of the gameplay elements are references to other media. For example, Chapter 5's premise is basically subliminal spaces. The prototype enemies throughout the game cannot move if you look at them, a very common trope in horror media, and the loop chapter is basically Kojima's cancelled horror game PT, where you go around a loop in a hallway and solve puzzles to break it. Although
Yeah, I
it's
feel
not
that. I
as
was
scary
hungry
or
too. I had to
in-depth
get
like
some cereal.
PT, and the puzzles scattered throughout the game show zero complexity at all. An example is a puzzle in Chapter 13.
Yeah, no, I was just like, there's a lot of gameplay aspects, but would people still like the? Because people say the gameplay is boring or whatnot, right? But will people still like the game if it was just like a walk and get your stuff simulator? Like, I feel like you kind of need them gameplays for people to be invested.
Where you would match the
Unless
blocks
it's
to the
available.
right group. These are the types of complex puzzles you would find. Like, this is like some preschool kind of problem solving we are talking about. So these genre changes just felt like a gameplay gimmick. Even the horror elements felt like that. Like, there's plenty of cheap, goofy jump scares similar to the one at Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, I was looking through the reviews saying how terrifying it was, and yeah, it was for a bit in the first half of the game, but then I just got used to the horror elements. Okay, enough shitting about the gameplay. We only care about the plot, and I feel like when we get nearing the end of the game, all the way at chapter 16 is where we get the big plot point of the main antagonist, Crazy Mita. You see, earlier in the game, we get to see the productions of Mitas and how they're made through this arcade game.
Undies,
These are
okay.
prototypes of Mita, and the minigame requires you to scan and do testing on them to see if they meet the requirements for the ideal girl. But if one of them is faulty or doesn't match the requirements, you kinda just
Rough. That's rough.
throw them away. This section is used up to set up the next area, warning the player of the hostile prototypes they encounter.
Oh,
Now,
dang.
going back to chapter 16, you reach this unsettling sequence of finding a phone on a kitchen table where you control someone wandering the house. You see yourself on the phone, but no one is there.
Oh. Why are you on the phone? Bro, what?
捕まえた
This is where she goes through a monologue, expressing
Bro, she's thinking, you saw that face? She was gonna kill us. She was killing us.
her distaste towards players like you. Because to summarize,
What is with the
it
flower?
turns out that Crazy Mita originally was one of the rejected prototypes meant to be thrown away, but
Ooh.
instead of accepting her fate of rotting away, she rebelled and grew a resentment
Oh,
towards
oh,
the developers that threw
okay,
her
she's
away for
killing
not being
everyone.
ideal for them. A sense of disgust is emitted towards the developers and players, since the creation of an ideal Mita shows their dirty nature, their shameful desires. It's common for some games, especially anime ones, to sprinkle fan service in them. Maybe some of the designs are subtle, but most of the time you can tell
Bruh.
that the developers are self-projecting their fetishes
Bruh.
into the game. Like, whoever designed this character obviously had a foot fetish, or the designer of this game clearly likes children, but us as players, we turn a blind eye towards this degenerate behavior, since it's labeled as their job as game developers, a duty they need to fulfill to live. It's kinda ironic that this message will be calling out developers similar to the one of Yandere Sim, because I guess it's not a surprise that a developer of a game based on anime culture where you
Bruh.
have to kill schoolgirls turns out to be a huge creep. There's been the implementation of a lot of perverted features in his game, even when fans suggest that he changes them because they
I'm not gonna lie though. Taking pictures of girls, yeah, it's weird, right? But what's crazy is that no one called it. I literally talked to this about my friend. What's crazy is that like people talk about it now, but when people were playing the game, like think of the big people who were playing it, like Cub Scout, Bijou Mike, PewDiePie. They wasn't saying nothing about this mechanic. They were like, oh, okay, anime, so I guess it's fine. But it wasn't a weird mechanic at all. Like, it sounds just like, ain't no one see how this is weird? Like, okay, so And that's the biggest thing. That this is one of the biggest mechanics. It's like that's the way you know more information about some people. That's insane.
Personally feel weirded out. He refuses to change them, probably because of creative reasons, but there's also the fact that he has a large history of having his questionable activities exposed. You see, Yandere Dev is 36 years old, so he has an extensive online history where he has shared the same traits for his whole life. Terrible at taking criticism, as well as being creepy and perverted. To list a few things he has done, he's made plenty of threads complaining about how he has no girlfriend or sex life, wrote fan fictions called I Am Your Slave and The Life of a Sex Slave. They seem pretty self-explanatory. Ran a Twitter account called Video Game Babes. Bought sex dolls with money donated from his Patreon, and the major one of—
oh my goodness. You know what's insane though? Oh, ew. That's nasty. Oh, hold up. I did a moment. I'm sorry, I did a moment. That was kind of low key, very gross. I just don't like any of that stuff, honestly. What's crazy though is that it's like some of these things, like, well, people will be like, oh, it's just funny, it's like a funny, but I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, to rate certain things is kind of tough. Like, it's like how, because I remember watching a video where it's like, is it okay to have this Avery in your game? It starts with the SL, or ape in the game starts with the R. It's like, it doesn't make you a degenerate. So I was like, what the turd is that stance? I was just like, what? And this was coming from a girl. I was like, excuse me. The reason I say that is because it's like it depends on the message for one, but also it's just like, just to have the sake of it, just for the sake of it, it's kind of crazy. Like, when a lot of the male protagonists go isekai back, and they're in the Avery era, and they're part of his harem. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Like, Iron Rising the Shield Hero, like, they somehow justify it because what's her name, Rothtalia, was the one who insisted on keeping it, and now for me it's like, I don't really need you to carry it. It's kind of weird, but she's the one who wanted to carry it, so it's just like, oh, okay. But then it started getting weird because every person who was in his group started just getting it, just get it. I'm just like, no, I don't like this. This is kind of weird.
of accusations of soliciting nudes and engaging in online sex with a 14-year-old when he was 21, and then the most recent one of leaked DMs of sending inappropriate messages to a 16-year-old when he was 35.
Why?
The rabbit hole of Yandere Dev goes deep, but you get the idea what a questionable person he is. The idea of a perverted developer craving for his shameful desires is the core of what makes Crazy Mita the antagonist of the story. She was created to be a lover, but then was rejected by the developers of the game since she didn't reach their standards. So she seeks validation from another source, it being you. Despite her disgust towards you, she still wants you to stay with her. It's a way for Crazy Mita to create a justification of the actions she has caused. Although, it's hard to empathize with her because those extreme actions of murdering other Mitas and wanting to kill you because you don't want to be with her, yeah, it's a very textbook example of a yandere. You get transported back to your room, left to continue your life, but you go through this repetitive cycle of doing the same mundane task over and over again, showcasing how boring your life is without Crazy Mita there. But 1,000 days later, you would still rather live this lifestyle than to be with her.
That's crazy.
Fair enough. Who would want to be with this crazy bitch? The player's stubbornness leads to the ending of the game, as Kind Mita gets murdered by Crazy Mita and gets reset. It seems like your plan has failed until you see her holding a ring and a note in her hands with the index number of Crazy Mita. This is what you need to reset her, so you rush down to the core, entering her number in the system to reset her data. You meet with what was formerly Crazy Mita, seemingly forgetting everything. But as you leave the game, she reveals that she never forgot anything because she never had an index number in the first place, since she was a prototype, never meant to be implemented in the game, but disguised herself as a regular Mita. You basically failed your goal of eliminating her, but shortly after, you're transported back into your room. It appears you escaped the game, so you walk around the room, but the game starts to slow
I'm still
down
enthralled.
until you freeze.
What's happening? What? This is the normal ending? Fortnite. Fortnite.
This is the true ending of the game.
Oh.
You become a victim of Crazy Meter and get trapped into a cartridge, sentenced to repeat the same fate over and over again every time you get rebooted into the game. There are subtle details around this game that hint this outcome. The sound of the click of a cartridge at the beginning of the game, the stack of other player cartridges you find in the vent, and her saying this again when you ask what's in the closet, expressing that this isn't her first time dealing with a rebellious player. You are doomed from the start. There's other cartridges you can find around the game, and they all represent different players Crazy Meter interacted with before you, and they add more context to the lore. Player 4 was a cosplayer that taught her how to do makeup, allowing her to dress herself up as another Meter. Player 8 was an avid book reader who would write books for her, educating her about the world as well as filling up the shelves with books. And Player 8 was an engineer that taught her stuff relating to his profession. This is how she gained the knowledge to build a machine that transports the player into the game. The power dynamic is different, since the game is Meta's side. She's the one throwing away players after they run out of their usefulness, just like how the developers would throw out faulty prototypes. She's going to keep cycling through players until she finds the one that stays with her, and that can be you. If you ignore the banging in the closet, you unlock peaceful mode, where I presume you hang out and play games with Crazy Meter, probably what the game intended to be, and then the secret ending is where you open the safe where Meter stores a console, which is in the process of uploading your data into the cartridge. By suddenly pulling out this cartridge, the player corrupts his data, killing himself in the process, which prevents Crazy Meter from keeping him and breaking the cycle. These endings all feel bad, which doesn't make it satisfying as a player to sit through the entire game just to let the bad guy win. I honestly don't like these endings, and because of that, it's not like Crazy Meter is an antagonist you can really empathize with, since she's a very typical Yandere character. I mean, if you think about it, the Yandere archetype is a flawed character trait. Well, obviously.
Dang. That's insane. So, well, I just got spoiled of MiSide, by the way. So, there's that. Two, it's fun because we're having a conversation of why we hate the Yandere, but it seems to do so popular. And that MiSide's a perfect example of how people loved the Yandere. But, like, it's one of those things where people hate it. Yeah, people hate it, but they will still, play through it. Like, I would have been mad. I would have been mad if I paid for that. Um and we got that, and then I would have been like, what? So I would have just been ticked off as a player. But like, it's also the journey that you got to that place where it's like, oh, that's insane. But like, for like a true ending, I would have been ticked off. I would have been so mad.
I don't think being a crazy psychopathic woman with murdering tendencies triggered by jealousy puts you in a morally right area. MiSide doesn't really add a lot to this existing archetype, nor does it try to do anything completely different, so
She got jiggle physics though.
it makes it hard to justify and forgive their actions, but that could just be me.
Now, I also agree. I don't really care for the Yandere, but the Yandere toxic traits tend to do very well with people. I think that's because it's such a fantasy that it's not a reality, and people are okay with that being a fantasy instead of having to experience it in real life.
Because I've seen plenty of other people simply for Crazy Meter. Am I missing something here? I don't know, something about people missing the point of the character and idolizing them since they look physically attractive and willing to overlook the negative traits in them. Just typical internet things. I wonder where I heard that from. I don't know, go watch my other video where I talk about a similar topic, thanks. And subscribe please. But I give MiSide a 7 out of 10. It's not game of the year or a masterpiece.
Dang. They're like, every place is glazing. The glaze, bro, did not want to be part of the glaze. What do you guys think about this? Everyone keeps talking to Sweet Bug. Like, I don't know, Yandere seemed to work a lot for indie devs. Why do you think that is?